Controversial opinion. Almost nobody recognizes the difference between looking rich and being rich anymore. Almost everyone got most things wrong. What real wealth is about, what people think of as wealth, often is the exact opposite. To name it, modern day slavery. Why is everyone's definition of wealth so fucked up? If you have been socialized like most people, you probably learned what wealth is. If you think like most, then wealth is defined wrongly as lavish, extravagant, luxury lifestyle. Conspicuous wealth is an announcement to the easy impressionable world, look, I am fucking rich. This is only the illusion of wealth though. Don't make the mistake messing up real wealthy people with wannabe show-offs. Wealth is not embodied in a large luxurious home, a boat, or an expensive German car, but in the freedom to know that you could easily afford it if you feel like buying it. Set your priorities right. Do you want to look rich or be rich? It's not even your fault that you are wrong about wealth. The society and the cultural default is playing a huge role too. Fake wealth is when people buy things they can't afford to impress others who do the same. It's trying to establish and afterwards maintain the illusion of wealth. This is also known as keeping up with the Joneses. This hoax wealth does something terrible. It's doing the exact opposite of what it's supposed to do, destroying real wealth. The harder you try to keep up with the Joneses next door, the faster you have to run on the lifestyle inflation treadmill and the tighter the grip of poverty becomes. You cannot purchase wealth at a Lambo dealership, but you can buy the destruction of personal freedom with reckless spending behavior. The media wants you to believe that wealth depends on what you wear, eat, drink, drive, and do. In reality, unaffordable possessions frighten your wealth. Before we move on, please do me a favor and like if this was helpful so far. Also consider subscribing to not miss any future content of mine. Back to the video. Real wealth is doing what you want, when you want, where you want. It also gives you the freedom to say no.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No! No!
Wealth is freedom and the ability to choose. Wealth is having fuck you money so that no one is able to tell you what to do, when and how. You are your own boss and control your life and schedule. Wealth is the autonomy to live the life you want. It's not necessarily about material possession or looking rich. What is also kind of true is money doesn't buy you happiness. Although people who say that often have a fucked up mindset. They often already concluded that they will never have money, so why earn or save or be responsible with your financials? If money doesn't make people happy, is the opposite true then? Does poverty buy happiness? Certainly not. Money is a tool. It cannot buy happiness, but it can improve your circumstances, transform your environment so that you can create the ideal foundation for happiness. Often money doesn't buy happiness because it's misused. Society has it so that a faster car and a bigger luxurious house will supposedly make you happy. Of course, both financed on credit. Society's version of happiness is flawed. You could even argue corrupted. Normal is the servitude to your expensive stuff. This can go as far as modern day slavery with invisible chains of financial obligations. How can someone be deemed wealthy if he lacks the freedom to act at will? Often wealth is misused to buy shackles instead of purchasing freedom. Wealth should not be equated to shit you cannot afford and often don't even need. Money buys time, money buys experiences and freedom if used appropriately. Break the chains of modern day slavery, which goes like this. First, income goes up. Second, spending goes up even more. Third, more debt is accumulated for stuff like expensive gadgets, cars, boats, houses, clothes, and jewelry. Fourth, lifestyle inflation kicks in and expectation rise, and you desire more and better shit than the stuff you already got. The next race will have to go to these things, and the cycle starts anew. Break the cycle, stop striving for the latest, greatest, whatever thing, regardless of consequences. Break the imprisonment of your lifestyle. The pervert thing about this jail is the more stuff you buy which you can't afford, the longer the sentence becomes. Buying a huge house with a 40-year mortgage can become a real liability, removing your freedom, inducing more stress, and forcing you to work even harder, more, and longer. Don't get me wrong. There is nothing against buying a Lambo or something else that is really expensive. The key is affordability. If you really can afford it, it's necessary that your lifestyle will not change regardless of future circumstances. It shouldn't matter if your sales go down by 30% or if you get fired and so on. Best example is buying chewing gum. You probably don't care about this, buy even if you get fired the next day. So only indulge if you can truly afford it. As a rule of thumb, if you have to think about it, you can't afford it. We talked a lot about fake wealth so far. So what do real wealthy people do and look like? It depends. Wealth is very individual. As mentioned already, it's the freedom of choice. What does freedom look like for you? Everyone's freedom looks differently. You must find your own personal definition of freedom first in order to determine what wealth means. It could be flying private jets and driving expensive cars. The stereotypical version of the media, basically. But it could also be living a minimalist lifestyle on a Caribbean island. The end goal should be to maximize your happiness. Money is a tool to find your ideal way, as it buys freedom if used correctly. Happiness consists of 4 things. Wealth doesn't create happiness on its own. It cannot be experienced alone in a vacuum. First, you need to have and maintain healthy relationships with friends, family, and your partner. Wealth can also help you to impact the life of others and build a community around you. Second, wealth is the often mentioned freedom to do what you want, where you want, and when you want. Third, it's mandatory to not forget about your health. Nobody is helped if he keeps amassing more and more riches and his health is ruined in the process. If your health is ruined, you can no longer enjoy your possessions. Fitness and vitality is important, but often neglected. Don't put a price tag on your health, ever. It's priceless. Fourth, everyone needs a purpose in life, a reason to get up, something you are passionate about pursuing. Strangely, it is sort of defined as normal today to be in a rat race and to work as a modern-day slave chained by debt from consumption. I cannot imagine that the normal today is what people dream of doing if they would have the freedom to choose. Working 9 to 5 from Monday to Friday in a draining job, getting up at 6 a.m. with expected overtime can't be the dream of anyone thinking clearly. Repeating this for 40 or even 50 years makes matters even worse. The social version of normal seems off and corrupted. To break the chains, decline instant gratification and immediate pleasure. Short-term gratification is long-term misery. Many people nowadays are fat because they choose the easy and cheapest way of instant gratification through highly processed junk food. Wealth and health are intertwined. Both require first, sacrifice, second, persistence, third, discipline, fourth, commitment, and fifth, delaying rewards into the future. A shift is needed to succeed in life from short-term to long-term thinking. Don't be owned by your gadgets instead of owning your stuff. Wait until you can truly afford the luxurious stuff you desire. Okay, let's sum it up. Society's version of normal is highly fucked up. The same is true for the default definition of wealth in society. Money doesn't buy you happiness, but can be a tool to achieve a better, more fulfilling life. Anything detrimental to freedom is dangerous for purpose in life, your relationships, and your health. Money misused can have the opposite effect of what's intended and make you less happy. The end goal of happiness is achieved through a mix of purpose in life, good health, freedom of choice, and strong relationships. Not necessarily money, and definitely not material possessions. The consequences of short-term thinking, aka instant gratification, are a loss of freedom, deteriorating health, and destruction of choice. Was I able to change your perspective of wealth? I am keen on hearing your take. Please share with someone delusional and don't forget to like and subscribe. If this was helpful, you might like this video too.